In northeastern New Mexico once again. This is Henry Tafoya along with boxing guru Dan Sisneros, and we're in Las Vegas tonight for the homecoming and a championship night for the beloved Frankie Archuleta. Tonight he gets it on with Lewis Wood for the NABF Championship, and I'm telling you, I'm always optimistic but a little cautious. My boxing guru here, always optimistic and very cautious tonight.
Never more cautious than tonight, Henry. This is Frankie's 16th professional fight. The other 15 were all steps leading to this fight, Henry. Danny Romero fought for this title. After in his 16th pro fight, he won this NABF title. Tonight, Frankie follows in those footsteps. It's going to be dynamite. Lewis Wood is the real deal.
Well, Frankie Archuleta feels he's the real deal. He is a very complacent, soft-speaking individual outside the ring. Inside the ring, he's Mr. Showtime. And he has a lot of skills and a lot of firepower. And the rumor tells me that he's never worked harder for any event in his life. Give me the details.
That's exactly the scoop, Henry. Frankie has never looked sharper, better, hungrier. He wants Lewis Wood bad. He wouldn't want anyone else. He doesn't want an easy way. He wants Lewis Wood. Lewis Wood is rugged. He's going to give Frankie all he can handle. He gave David Santos more than he could handle. And tonight, Frankie's going to take a shot at him for the title.
All right, the preliminary fights will be exciting as well, as they always are. Back with all of it right here. Don't go away. Don't miss a single punch tonight, because you will miss a lot. We'll be back in 1 minute. Gentlemen, here is Senator Pete Campos.
Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, in the red corner, with a 15-0 record and 9 KOs, weighing 122 pounds, from Las Vegas, New Mexico, in the blue corner, with a 20-1 record and 6 KOs, from Houston, Texas, the current NABF champ, Lewis Wood!
Well, the stage is set. This is the NABF Championship. All the great ones come through this title and go on to great, great things. What will happen tonight, boxing guru?
Well, Henry, Frankie Archuleta has two problems facing him right now. Number one, Lewis Wood is a southpaw fighter. That's a different kind of style. It's going to give him a little bit of trouble. And number two is the awkwardness of Lewis Wood. He has kind of a weird style. You'll see he'll kind of stick his lead hand out and just hold it there. Kind of a measurement, kind of a measuring tactic. And that's given a lot of fighters problems, Henry. He's very awkward and very strong. So these first rounds are going to be very important. Frankie needs to win these and get them in the bank.
All right, we are set here. A little unorthodox start here. Frankie unaware that the fight had begun. Frankie Archuleta in navy blue, trimmed in gray. And Lewis Wood, the champion, in black, trimmed in gold.
We have two myths in boxing. One is that the champion always gets the edge, and the other one is that the hometown fighter always gets the edge. Well, each guy has an edge. They nullify each other, Henry. We're straight up boxing right here.
Very attentive crowd here. No seats left at Michael Marr Gymnasium in Las Vegas, New Mexico. Frankie Archuleta, with big dreams, aspires to be a world champion. And tonight he meets his stiffest test.
In analyzing these two fighters on videotape, Henry, I noticed one thing. The hand speed edge will definitely go to Frankie Archuleta. Pure hand speed, pure foot speed. But Lewis Wood has you don't expect it. He brings his punches out of nowhere from weird angles, and that can be just as dangerous as pure hand speed.
Both fighters with outstanding footwork. And as you see so often, the first round is usually looking and moving and observing and learning as much as you can. Obviously, if the opportunity is there, you'll take it. Frankie with a left hand and then lifts Lewis Wood off the canvas there. Early show of strength, perhaps.
And Frankie has no trouble at this weight. He has no trouble making the 126 pound limit. He came in at 123.5 for this title fight, so room to spare. This kid is in top condition.
Frankie with a devastating right hook. Also will hit you with a jab several times. He can punch, yes, but he can box as well.
Frankie Archuleta is more the prototype boxer puncher. I know every fighter wants to consider himself a boxer puncher, but Frankie really is. He has a good balance of boxing skill and some pretty decent power.
Well, he misfires there, and his glove hit the canvas, and the referee doing the prudent thing to make sure that glove is wiped off. The double left hook, certainly one of the weapons of Frankie Archuleta. He has it all. And tonight he's going to try it, and he's going to have to show it all.
No one has scored a decisive blow yet in this round. Henry, Frankie's promoter, Lenny Fresquez, assured me that Frankie would come out here and not just feel his opponent out, but actually try to win these early rounds. And that's a good strategy.
Every single aspiring champion we've ever seen dreams of the big moment. This is the biggest moment ever in Frankie Archuleta's career. Round one, as you expected, very cautious from both parties concerned here. Come back to Las Vegas, New Mexico. Referee Rocky Burke says, guys, let's get it on. And round two, I'm sure, will be a little bit more enlightening for you, the watcher, and everybody here already watching Frankie Archuleta pick up the pace.
Frankie got close with that one. Wood was backing away. This is what Frankie wants. He wants to take control. He wants to establish the pace, get the ring generalship in his favor in this fight. It's very important. He's the young guy that hasn't faced someone with the experience of a Lewis Wood.
Lewis Wood, he has all the moves, and he comes ready for the big fight, and he too has big aspirations.
You know, he came right into Albuquerque and defeated David Santos, defended his title there. I think Santos was pretty much the favorite at ringside. Lewis Wood did a great job in that fight, Henry. He dictated the pace of the fight and pulled out the victory.
Now Frankie gets a big right hand in there. Nothing devastating, but earned some respect. And one thing about Lewis Wood, he's got that real quick combination.
Henry, Lewis Wood is trained by Kenny Weldon, who's a well-known boxing trainer, been very loyal with Lewis Wood, hanging with him all the way through. And of course, Frankie has Melchor Chavez in his corner.
Frankie Archuleta has shown us in his way up that he's got a lot of weapons. Uppercuts, left hooks, jabs, you name it. Good footwork, very aggressive, and he's an entertainer on top of it all.
Right now, Frankie's in the process of establishing distance. You can see that he's kind of stepping in, kind of stepping out, feeling his way around. What distance can he set where he can attack and, of course, get out of the way before harm comes to him?
Now he gets the right hand in there. And then Lewis Wood has to cover up. Lewis says, yeah, I like that.
You know, Henry, Lewis Wood is really hard to land a solid shot on him. He's kind of awkward, just kind of a good defensive style. It's hard to land a flush shot on this guy.
Good defensive fighter, moves back real nice, dodges and weaves, as you said.
And you can see that he's very muscular, very solid through the chest and the arms, a very strong fighter at 126.
Frankie Archuleta in blue, trimmed in gray, and champion Lewis Wood in black, trimmed in gold. Rocky Burke, the referee, a very good referee at that.
He's one of the up-and-coming referees in the game, Henry, Rocky Burke.
Well, round two comes to a close, and the pace. Welcome back to round three. By instruction, maybe, Frankie has been given the green light to go for more. We'll see.
Well, Henry, the first two rounds were not overwhelming, but oh, we got some action going here.
Now Frankie took a right hand, and it ticked him off. These are two well-conditioned fighters with big, big hearts. And they've got all the weapons, ladies and gentlemen, so beware.
I was going to say that Frankie didn't overwhelm Wood, but I think he did get the job done in winning those first 2 rounds. I gave them both to Frankie. The first round was pretty close, not much to choose from. But I have him up 2 rounds to none, and that's what he needs. He needs every edge he can get here. He's fighting a seasoned champion.
Well, nothing fears either one of these fighters.
Lots of respect, Henry, no fear, right?
Each of these fighters paying one another respect early on. The most dangerous game on the planet.
Henry, Lewis Wood has a reputation in the boxing game as being kind of a roughhouser. He's known to, he'll throw a head in there every now and then, an elbow if he can. He's a pretty rough guy. Frankie's done a good job of nullifying that so far with his distance and movement.
Well, they play their games out there, and they try to deceive one another and fake one another out, as we have seen early on here. And if you hit Frankie in the face, it seems like nights of fire, and he retaliates immediately.
That's one of the good qualities that the local boxing fans like about Frankie. The rest of the world really hasn't caught on yet, and this fight is a big step in making that happen. A win here is big for Frankie Archuleta, very big, Henry, on the big scheme of things in the world of boxing.
And certainly to have this fight in his hometown certainly helps him. But on the other hand, that will probably turn Lewis Wood up a notch as well.
Yeah, that works both ways. This Lewis Wood, surprisingly, as good of a champion as he's been, hasn't got much recognition for it.
Now they each got a piece of the head that time. And then the referee, Rocky Burke, right in there as they clinch. And what might be going on there?
Rocky Burke's he's gonna put a stop to the roughhousing right away. I'm sure he's aware of the reputation here. On both sides. He's gonna make sure nobody gets away with it.
And every time Lewis Wood wants to go off in close, Frankie will try the uppercut.
The chant of Frankie going up, Henry.
A double right hand from Lewis Wood connects.
Yes, it did.
Here comes Frankie. Everything unloaded in the corner.
That's what you want to see. Frankie got tagged, but he got all the scoring back by attacking Wood and scoring himself.
Round 4. Frankie Archuleta and Lewis Wood for the NABF Championship.
You know, Henry, Frankie Archuleta won and held that WBB title in 2 weight classes, but it didn't do much for him. It really didn't bring him much respect or much recognition. And the NABF title, on the other hand, Henry, is a world recognized. I mean, this is the real thing right here. This is really the first step to big-time boxing.
Some people say Frankie is moving up too quickly. A lot of other people say, no, he's right on target. How do you feel, Boxing Guru?
The second one is absolutely right, Henry. He is right on target, a real nice pace. He has not been overmatched. He has been put in with different styles. Now he steps in. He got the WBB title, now the NABF title shot. He's right on track, Henry.
Well, he's made of special stuff, and obviously Lewis Wood made of the same stuff. And we are delighted to bring you this big event here tonight. Frankie trying to get the uppercut in there and the left hook in there, and Rocky Burke will separate the 2 fighters.
Lewis Wood complaining about a rabbit punch, but he wouldn't let go of Frankie, and Frankie kept his hands moving.
Boy, no fighter has been hurt yet.
No. You see the difference from the undercard fights, and you step up to the world-class level, and it's a lot harder to hurt your opponent. These guys are just so well trained, so athletically skilled. It's another world.
Well, on the streets, Frankie, very unassuming, very quiet personality. In the ring, he's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Yeah, his early days, he went with the nickname The Professor, because that's what he looked like. You'd see him at the weigh-in and think he was some school kid here to...
Now there he is, the first characteristics as you described. Lewis Wood roughhousing a little bit, and Rocky Burke immediately giving each fighter a scolding that he won't put up with it.
Rocky Burke won't take much more of that. He'll start taking points away.
Now here is the double right hand now, and a shoulder into the neck from Lewis Wood and a Frankie Archuleta, and Frankie has never felt that before.
Frankie's got to keep moving side to side. He can't let this wild bull charge at him like that.
Now Lewis Wood can be the aggressor at any moment, as he is showing now.
Yeah, he's a pretty versatile boxer. He showed that against David Santos, that he can change in mid-fight.
It has been programmed, a game plan. Here is Frankie in the corner, and looking like he knows what he's doing. Misses with a big left hook.
10 seconds to go. Frankie's got to continue to control the center of the ring. He doesn't want to get caught on the ropes or in the corners. He's in control in the center of the ring, Henry.
Now that is it for that part. We'll come back with another part, and the crowd becoming emotional here. And here we are with more in Las Vegas, New Mexico, round 5. Frankie Archuleta in blue, and Lewis Wood in black, trimmed in gold.
Henry, I kind of sensed a little bit of momentum swing going over to Lewis Wood in that last round. This is where he can start to come on and take these middle rounds. He is the champion. Frankie's going to have to reestablish control of this fight.
And you make a very interesting point. You have to do a lot to defeat the champion in this sport. If you want his title, you got to really show it.
Yeah, I don't know if the hometown advantage is going to help you any other than the crowd is going to scream at everything Frankie does. And of course, Lewis Wood's shots will go pretty much unrecognized by the crowd.
Now Frankie trying to counter immediately before Lewis Wood could get off. Frankie got off.
It seems like it's getting a little bit harder for Frankie to find Lewis Wood right now. Wood's starting to warm up a little bit here, Henry. I can sense it.
They're both in great shape. If Frankie will find an opening and bounce prior to this, it was the fatigue of his opponent. Lewis Wood, I don't think, knows the word.
No, Lewis Wood is solid as a rock. He's a solid professional. This is an important fight too, Henry. I mean, you've got guys like Prince Nassim Hamed who are a literal jackpot, a lottery at the end of the tunnel here if you can keep your record intact.
Now the emotion is changing in the personality here of Frankie Archuleta. He's taken some of this a little personal.
He doesn't want to get caught up in that. He's got to be scientific and box. He has got to outbox Lewis Wood to take his title.
And we have seen an emotional Frankie Archuleta victorious before, but he's never had an opponent like this before.
No, probably the most dangerous opponent he's had to this point, Henry, was Manuel Arellano, who he fought right here in this building. And Frankie pitched a virtual shutout, but Lewis Wood is much more skilled than Arellano.
In every way. Fine defensive fighter. I mean, he just knocked that punch away easily.
Frankie having a little trouble getting to Wood right now, Henry. He's kind of caught in between.
Well, southpaw always difficult to fight. Now we're going to have Rocky Burke. Is he taking a point away? Or is that a warning?
I'm not sure. He told all three judges something. I'm going to have to find out on that, Henry.
Round 6 in Las Vegas, New Mexico. Frankie more than likely behind in this fight.
Henry, the call by referee Rocky Burke was an accidental headbutt on that. That's what he was telling the judges.
It is very close. And Frankie can take control of the fight at any moment. But Lewis Wood is going to be tough to tangle with here in Las Vegas tonight.
Henry, you can see that Frankie Archuleta is just having a heck of a time finding this guy with his gloves. He cannot lay a glove on Wood, a good solid flush shot. Wood is so elusive.
Big sweeping left hook, nearly got there.
This is something that Frankie has never experienced, Henry. I've never seen him unable to catch his opponent with a punch. You got to credit Lewis Wood's defense, man. He is a master.
Well, Frankie's jab is nothing to write home about. But since he is home, he doesn't have to write.
Make a local call, but he better start dialing, Henry.
Well, this crowd expects a whole lot more. And there's a little bit of Frankie previewing right there what may come later. I think there's a lot of design, a lot of game plan here, but the game is getting late.
Yeah, this is shaping up a lot like the David Santos fight for Lewis Wood. Santos kind of got off to a good start, but Lewis Wood just crept his way back, past him, and won the fight. Frankie can't let that happen.
And I concur with you. Frankie likes to get off a little bit at this stage of every fight, but he can't find a way here.
This is something I've never seen, and I know Frankie has never experienced. Feeling the fight slip away, Henry. We're halfway through a title fight here.
Well, he may have to gamble. If he wants this championship, he may have to take some chances. It's dangerous, but this is a dangerous sport anyway.
I agree. I think he needs to gamble, Henry. He can't be too safe. He's going to have to let him fly. He's got to make a big impression on the judges, and he's got to get this crowd revved up, too.
I think that's a very good point. The crowd is not in this fight.
No, he's losing his momentum, Henry.
As he wonders on how he can score, the crowd is wondering the same thing. Well, we will see more. Two fighters still standing, two fighters very strong. Don't go away. I think we've got some fireworks to see. Round 7. How good are you? The dreams and aspirations put on the line here tonight for Frankie Archuleta.
I have this a very close fight, Henry. As a matter of fact, I have it dead even, 3 rounds apiece. This fight's half over, and nothing's been decided.
Well, Frankie, every time he charges, Lewis Wood will turn that defensive tactic into something new and creative. He's a master at dodging all kinds of different blows.
He really is a defensive master, Henry. But, you know, if Frankie can continue to attack like that and have Wood backing up, that's a perception. That goes into the mind of the judges. The aggression factor, if no one's landing punches and one fighter's more aggressive, that could be the tiebreaker that Frankie needs.
Well, that's usually Frankie's forte.
I also, Henry, think that Frankie might want to think about going to the body a little more. Forget about the head. This guy's just too hard to hit. Go to that body. It won't move as much.
And Lewis Wood is one of those fighters that just keeps on moving forward. Frankie gets the jab in, and he is knocked down, but was it a slip?
That's a slip. That was not a knockdown. He was off balance. You know, Henry, Frankie's having trouble finding Wood, but Wood's not exactly smashing Frankie in the face either.
Now, it'll take a mistake like that or a slip by Lewis Wood, but Lewis Wood gathered himself quickly. From Las Vegas, New Mexico, a championship fight on WB19.
Frankie doing a lot of backpedaling here, Henry. That's not good in the minds of the judges. Lewis Wood is given the perception of the aggressor, and it's given him the edge in ring generalship by moving forward.
Well, we have to give some credit to some defensive work that's impressive from Frankie Archuleta.
That's right.
Here tonight as well. And now he's pinned in the corner.
These are two defensive wizards, so it's not making for a nonstop slugfest, but it certainly is a defensive masterpiece.
Well, at times, Frankie, the challenger, may have to resort to the old Frankie, the entertaining Frankie, the risk taker, And it may take a whole lot of risk-taking to get the championship belt tonight. Here it comes. Louis Wood with a solid blow to the chin of Frankie Archuleta, but Frankie threw some blows. Whether they landed or not, the perception was there. He will need more than perception to win the championship. We'll find out more. Well, you hope and you dream that you get the opportunity to be in the major limelight. The last thing you want to do is second guess yourself that you didn't put your best foot forward. And your best rights and lefts forward, too.
Henry, Frankie started the round leaning right into a left hand from Louis Wood. Caught him flush.
Now there's a right hand. And that's the best shot of the night for Frankie Archuleta.
Now let's see if that lit the fuse here. Frankie's got to get the momentum back. It's slipping away. He's got to continue to score like that.
And here comes the crowd, and here comes Frankie Archuleta.
Henry, this crowd is in shock right now. I've never heard it this quiet in Las Vegas, New Mexico at a Frankie fight.
I think all of that is going to turn into some frustration and some risk-taking. I guarantee you that Melchor Chavez is going to pull the leash away from Frankie at any moment.
Well, Frankie no doubt has the talent to pull this fight out, Henry, but he's got to keep pressing. You're right about the risk-taking. I don't like telling a fighter to dive in, but it's slipping away. He's got to do something, Henry. He has to make it happen.
Frankie slipped a little bit in the combination attempt.
Oh, there's a rabbit punch.
Some illegal shots that will cost Louis Wood, I'm sure, a point. What's going on here?
It's a warrant. I think he's saying warning. I think he's giving him a final warning. But that was.
Now that ignites the emotion.
Here we go.
Whole gymnasium, look out. Here comes Frankie Archuleta. The most powerful telling blows of the fight for Frankie.
Frankie got a good right hand in on that exchange, Henry. This is what he needs. This may be what he needed.
A brand new Frankie Archuleta has been sparked by the crowd. And a call that he didn't like, nor did the crowd like.
I think the crowd wanted a point taken away, Henry, and when it didn't happen, they came to life. And look at Frankie now.
Here's Frankie with two right hands.
Nothing damaging, but it did score, Henry. He connected on the face of Louis Wood.
It is a very close fight. Whoever is in the lead, it's a very close margin. But keep in mind, the championship belt belongs to Louis Wood.
Henry, I think Frankie's left eye is starting to close up a little bit from that headbutt.
Now Frankie has to feel much better. Here's a combination from Frankie Archuleta. Frankie looking like the old guy now, and he has got new enthusiasm and new reason to believe. And this place, Las Vegas, New Mexico, certainly believes. Welcome back, round 9 in Las Vegas, New Mexico. Hold on, don't blink, don't go away. We have ourselves a big-time boxing show. Frankie Archuleta, you can see it in his eyes, in his mannerisms, and the body language speaks for itself. The leash is off Frankie Archuleta.
I think Frankie did a lot to get some momentum back that last round, Henry. I gave it to him. It's even again on my scorecard unofficially, but Frankie got a breath of life into him. Let's see if he can keep it going.
Frankie has been told emphatically by somebody, more than likely Melchor Chavez, his trainer, that he is going to have to win in a devastating way.
His eye looks a little bit closed, but I don't think he should be concerned. I think Melchor has it under control. It's not completely closed, and I think he's all right. He's got to think about scoring here. He's got to score.
Frankie Archuleta with the right hand. Trying to sneak it in there. It didn't hurt much.
But that was a nice move, Henry. He kind of pivoted off the lead foot, off the right foot, spun and landed right to the body. That's an unusual move, but it did land. Frankie's going to have to pull all the tricks out of the bag, Henry. He can't leave nothing. This is too important.
Now look at the strength and the quickness and the energy each of these fighters still possesses here in round 9.
One thing's for sure, Lewis Wood's not going to run out of gas, Henry. He's a proven 12-round fighter. He's got stamina to burn. Frankie can't count on that. He's going to have to fight all the way through to the end.
A keen concentration. Looking for the opening. Each fighter in tremendous focus.
This is such a close fight. Every round is so precious. Every move is so precious.
Frankie snuck in the right hand. He's using the jab more effectively here.
Oh.
He sticks in a big right hand going up against the ropes. And that had to sting Lewis Wood.
Boy, Lewis Wood just jumped in. He literally jumped in and he caught Frankie with a shot.
Uppercut. Did it land? How much damage was there? Not much.
Not much, Henry. Our angle wasn't too good on that. Yeah.
There you are. Good combination from Frankie. A double right hand.
Nice body shot.
Big right hand from Frankie Archuleta. But look at Lewis Wood. He keeps on coming. But the personality of Frankie has changed, and now the crowd is really upset. And will this merit a point deduction?
1 point. 1 point. Rabbit punch, Henry. Lewis Wood's accepting it. He knows what he did as soon as he did it.
Lewis Wood says, yeah, okay. Now the fight is very close. And the championship is up for grabs. Round 10. Well, we get late in a championship fight, it gets more dramatic. Now we just sit back and watch it happen.
Now it comes down to the amateur distance of 3 3-minute rounds, Henry.
Lewis Wood with a shoulder and an elbow, and it ticks off Frankie Archuleta.
Archuleta has fought better out of a rage than he did as a scientific boxer, Henry.
Now there's a sneaky blow to the ribcage and the clinch from Lewis Wood. He knows all the tricks. Frankie with the right hand, and it stopped Lewis Wood in his tracks.
The right lead, the deadliest weapon against a southpaw, and it worked great that time. Let's see if Frankie catches on to that and starts letting him fly.
Uppercut, and then Frankie pushed into the corner. Trying to score with the right hand again, and good defensive work by Lewis Wood again.
Yeah, Lewis Wood was ready for that one, but Frankie was thinking about that lead right. It worked. He tried it again. Here we go again.
There's a quick right hand from Frankie.
Lead right's working pretty good for Frankie. He's just got to be ready for the counter because Wood will start countering off of that.
Frankie looking for one slip up here. Takes one on the nose, and blood splatters everywhere.
I think Frankie might be winning this round, though, Henry. He's landed a couple of pretty good right hands.
There's a sweeping, moving left hand. right hand. That certainly scored. Well, the risk-taking we talked about certainly is coming to fruition here.
And it's paying off. It has helped Frankie regain the momentum.
There's a stinging right hand from Frankie Archuleta. And Lewis Wood said, yeah, that got me.
That got him flush, Henry. That's about the first time I've really seen him get hurt by a punch.
Another one from Frankie Archuleta. And Wood is backing off here. Those are two shots that had to hurt.
Lewis Wood is always so cool. He never shows any emotion, but he did react to that big right.
And another try by Frankie. Obviously, we know the big blow is the big right hand.
Good round for Archuleta.
And Frankie Archuleta may have taken the lead in this fight. And a standing ovation will tell him that he certainly has. Round 11. And the crowd is standing, chanting Frankie.
6 minutes to the title, Henry. If Frankie can keep it going, I think he's got the momentum back on his side. But he's going to have to watch himself. He's got to win for sure at least one of the next 2 rounds.
Well, he has done enough to certainly bring it even or take the lead, and many people feel he has the lead. He wants more than that here. You can see it all over his face. He takes one on the nose.
Well, the point deduction is certainly going to help him, and he's got the momentum back in that last round, so things are looking his way, but he's got to keep it going against the champion.
Although Lewis Wood was hit hard, he didn't really show that he was hurt badly.
Oh, Lewis Wood has a solid chin, Henry. He's a rock.
Well, I'll tell you what, the respect that Lewis Wood has now for Frankie Archuleta is certainly showing here late in this fight in the 11th round.
This is by far, Henry, the biggest threat to Lewis Wood's title that he's ever faced. I'll tell you that right now.
Frankie is going to have to rely on everything he's got here to pull off the upset, to win the championship, including the big uppercut there to the jaw of Lewis Wood.
You know, Frankie just has a little more potential for offense, Henry, and that could be the difference in this fight if it goes to a decision.
Well, and Lewis Wood is a defensive master, but the gloves have come down a bit here. Left hand body shot. Frankie with the right hand and trying to hold on as Lewis Wood tries to retaliate.
Oh,
Frankie just misses the right hand.
well, it hasn't turned into a slugfest, Henry, but it has gotten more offensive than it was early in the fight.
Now Lewis Wood with a right sweeping right hook that hit the back of the head of Frankie Archuleta, but he scores a left hand in the corner. Frankie quickly moves away out of trouble.
But Lewis Wood again, Henry, doing some good offensive work here. That's going to help him in this round. Oh.
Now Frankie scores inside.
Frankie scored with the left hand that time, Henry. Close round.
Now Frankie, if he has taken the lead, he has retained the lead in this round. And we will go to the 12th and decisive round, the championship round, coming next on WB19, Rising Stars Boxing. The championship round in Las Vegas, New Mexico. And the crowd rises to welcome Frankie to the final round in his hometown.
Henry T., there's been so many close rounds in this fight. It could be a landslide, it could be an even fight. I mean, we just don't know. Too many close rounds. This round is very important.
Well, Frankie feels he has the lead, and he's going to retain the lead. He is very aggressive here, moving every which way. That he's going to have to be very cautious because Lewis Wood probably understands the same thing and understands now where Las Vegas, New Mexico is.
It hasn't been a nonstop slugfest, like I said, Henry, but this, you have to admit, this is some high caliber boxing here. The defensive work alone, Henry, shows the skill of these two athletes.
Now Rocky Burke has done a marvelous job here tonight. Frankie takes a shot, but backs away. And now they tangle it in the middle of the ring. Frankie wants to make it convincing to the referees that he is strong and he is the aggressor. And normally that will retain a championship for you, or that will maintain the impression in the minds of every judge on the scene.
Remember what Oscar De La Hoya did against Cuarte, Henry. He came out in that final round and established it. He sealed the deal right there.
Now Lewis Wood will play a little football here and knock down Frankie. And Frankie now is ticked. Now Frankie
hit his head on the table, Henry, I believe, or on the judge's chair there. The back
now
of his
Rocky
head.
Burke may take another point away. Let's see. No, he's not.
Let's see if that lights a fire on Frankie Archuleta.
Well, it normally does. Making Frankie mad is the absolute wrong thing to do. Now some desperate moves here by Lewis Wood to retain his title. It might be too little too late. Frankie won't let him get the upper hand. Frankie with 3 right hands.
Henry, that last exchange, a lot of fury, but not a lot of leather landing. This round is still up for grabs.
Now these are two warriors, two courageous athletes who put it all on the line when they go to work. Frankie with the right hand again, staying very aggressive. Uppercut scores for Frankie Archuleta. Now he will be the aggressor all the way to the end. Ducking a left hand, and there it is. It is over in Las Vegas, New Mexico. Is it enough? Frankie Archuleta feels it is. The crowd thinks so too. We will come back and find out for sure. Don't go away. This is Rising Stars Boxing, the NABF Championship in Las Vegas, New Mexico on WB19. Now, as ring announcer Pete Campos gathers up the information that is so critical here from each and every judge, a very, very anxious crowd awaits the final word. Entertainment value, I assure you, you had it all here tonight. And what a blessing to be able to bring it to you on WB19. Rising Stars Boxing, you have made a big hit across the state of New Mexico. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go to ring announcer Pete Campos.
Ladies and gentlemen, Judge Carol Castellano scores it 115 to 112, Archuleta. Judge Levi Martinez scores it 114 to 114, a draw. Judge Tony Castellano scores it 115-112, Wood. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a split decision. It is a draw.
Well, we have a draw, ladies and gentlemen.
I told you, Henry, I had it by 1, and I wouldn't be surprised either way. Close fight.
Lewis Wood retains his championship. He comes to Las Vegas, New Mexico to retain the championship. I've never heard a draw described as a split decision before.
No, but that's correct, a split draw.
But I mean, you don't hear it in
Not
words.
very often, no.
So the crowd was a little bit deceived by that, but that is the scorecards. So what you have is anxiety already for a rematch. Well, a disappointed sellout crowd leaves this gymnasium tonight in Las Vegas, New Mexico, and they shake their head, thinking that maybe Frankie Archuleta did enough to win the championship and take it away from Lewis Wood. As we have come to find out in this great sport of boxing, well, the unexpected sometimes doesn't happen. The unexpected comes up and bites you all of the time, and a lot of people here are being bitten everywhere as a result.
Well, Henry, I had it 114, 113. I believe you had it a 1-point win for Frankie Archuleta as well. The only good thing coming out of this is Frankie remains undefeated. However, he doesn't pick up the title. Lewis Wood leaves Las Vegas, New Mexico with that title. Maybe we can get a rematch and settle this thing because it was a good fight.
Well, one thing for sure, they will meet again. There will be another fight, and it makes for an interesting rematch. There will be some emotions here tonight. Questions asked, well, was it enough? How do you really score these fights? Etc., etc. It happens time and time again in the sport of boxing. But one thing for sure, we are elated that we can be here in this beautiful northeastern New Mexico City tonight. Las Vegas, New Mexico is proud of their champion, Frankie Archuleta, but Frankie is not crowned tonight NABF champion. That championship retained by Lewis Wood. But one thing for sure, New West Production is a champion. Rising Stars Boxing, the format, is a champion. Boxing promoter Lenny Frescas puts on a big show, and my boxing guru, they don't get any better than him. I'm just happy I could be here tonight, along with all those other champions. We'll see you another time.
My pleasure, Henry. Good to pleasure.
Wow, what a show on. Thank you for being with us. Have a good night. I assure you, we will see you again right here.